Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to the In the Bullseye Podcast. I'm Paul Peck with UB Women's Tennis head coach Kristen Maines. We've got MAC championship coaches all over the place here in Amherst. Congratulations on an amazing season. It's just very cool. I know how hard you as coaches and your staff work and the players work to get that kind of satisfaction. What's it felt like? How have you thought about it in the ensuing weeks after having won the MACs?
Yeah, it's sank in, and it's just as incredible as that weekend in Toledo when we beat the number 1 seed and then took the number 2 to claim the championship. It really was a little surreal at first, and reflecting on it, it's just, the level of pride and how proud I am of the girls just hasn't changed.
That's great. When you started this season, what were your expectations? Did you think this, I know you always hope and you believe that it's going to happen, but did you really think that you had the making of a MAC championship team, or did you not know that yet?
Yeah, we had, friends and alumni, and wow, you got, 5 newbies on the team that are going to be competing, and, is this going to be a building year? And I said, there's going to be a lot of learning, there's going to be a lot of growth, but, the expectation is still to win. And, we really brought in freshmen that embraced that, listened so well, and the growth that they showed from, the fall semester all the way through was incredible. We really preached my message every single match was 1% better in practice, in the match, focus on the tasks, focus on taking the steps up the ladder. And if you can continue to do that, even with losses along the way, we will be where we need to be come the last weekend in April.
Is it fun for you as a coach? And I feel like I want to say you have to work harder, but that's not right because you're always working hard. But when you have young players that you have to mold a little bit more, is that a fun challenge for you as a coach?
Yeah, I think every group is different, and this group really, I can't give them enough credit. Like, they just embraced everything that we had to say. There was a lot of learning along the way, a lot of coaching, but this group really, there was no pushback. They took everything in stride. They wanted all the help, all the advice, everything that we could give them. They just soaked it all in.
So as you get ready to go to Toledo for the MAC championships, based on what you had seen through the season, did you feel like if things fell in place, you could pull off what you ultimately did pull off?
I love being the lowest seed.
Right.
That's my favorite thing to be because, when we went in, we knew we squeaked in as the number 4 seed. We had, we did what we needed to do, but we had a little help from a team clinching that for us, which took a little pressure off. They beat someone that knocked another team out, which, was a help, right? But, we earned our spot. We beat the teams we needed to beat, but we also lost twice to Toledo and twice to Miami and once to NIU. So we knew what we were going into, but we also knew, gosh, it was 4-3 against Toledo the week before on their court. So I feel like that really helped getting being in that atmosphere, being on the courts, feeling exactly what it was going to feel like. And then, Miami, we had lost 6-1 the first time we played, not our best match. Came steaming back and 4-3 the second time. So, I don't know, give me them again. I'm ready to go for the third time.
Did beating the number 1 seed Toledo on their home court in that first MAC tournament match change everything? Belief, oh, hey, look what we just did. Now everybody else isn't as good. We can do this. So
Miami was the first seed. But, I think going into that match, that for us was that was what we were going after. Like, we weren't thinking about finals yet. We were just focused on, doing what we had to do. And we lost the stinking doubles point again. And it was like, at that point, we had lost so many doubles points through the conference that I don't remember what I said, but it was like, listen, we have been here so many times, but to go in and take 4 out of 6 singles against the number 1 seed, I mean, that was just grit and determination. That was just refusing to lose and refusing to stop until we got what we wanted. So, I mean, that felt like a championship right there, but it was also a really long match. It was like a 4.5-hour match. So my concern at that point then was, holy cow, we got to turn around and, do this all over again tomorrow against NIU, who we had just lost 4-3 to in another marathon match, a week or 2 before that. But when we got through Miami, my mindset shifted a little bit to, we got this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no this. If we just did this, we got this.
All right. So what's the moment like in that championship match when you realize that this incredible ride of a season will result in you hoisting a trophy?
I don't think I felt that until Liv really clinched that. Like, my mind went there for a split second, and I remember saying to my SID, being like, we got this. And we weren't there yet, but I'm like, I'm putting it out. We got this. So, there was a lot of nerves. There was a lot of roller coaster matches to get to that. But when she really shook her hand and everybody came running over in that moment when all the girls are like, did we do this? Like, that's kind of when it sunk in, was like, yeah, we did. We did this. What was
the team reaction immediately after, and then maybe through the next couple of days when it kind of sunk in for them?
Yeah, nothing can replace those moments when there's tears, there's laughs, there's the raw emotion and pure happiness of we did this together. Like, everybody contributed to doing this. So, all the feels on the courts right after were just incredible, and then little dance party on the way home in the bus. But then it's such a quick turnaround to, we get home. It was actually, we were a little fortunate that the tournament was Thursday, Friday, selection show Monday, and then we're leaving Wednesday. So it was such a whirlwind. But I mean, so many good memories, the vibe was just like, it was incredible.
What's that moment like when you're at that watch party and you see the Buffalo pop up on the screen, and maybe you're there because you want to see where are we going and who are we playing, but maybe sometimes just seeing the name up there for the players is the more important part of it.
Yeah, we've been through that, but again, the freshmen and actually the whole team, my whole team this year had never, Sma and I were the only ones that had gotten to experience that previously. So for them, just really seeing the pure excitement and the whole process, right? Like every line down, seeing what's coming, who's getting pulled. And then when you finally see Buffalo, it's like, whoa, there we are. And then you see Ohio State, and they were so excited. They didn't care. It was just, all right, number 4 school in the country, we got this. Let's take a crack at it, and go out there and fight. And that they really did. Like, I give them all so much credit. Like, doubles was incredible. Singles came out. It was close all the way down. Blanca, number 6, she was winning. She won the first set. Against the number 4 school in the country. And it wasn't by chance. She was playing her heart out and beating her.
So the experience of going to the NCAAs, going to a cool place like Ohio State, playing a top 10 team like that, the experience was everything that you thought it would be?
It was, yeah. And, the backside, right, like going through everything, it was, like I said, such a whirlwind. But when they got home, I was so excited to see their passion. They took maybe a day or two off. All the freshmen, they're out there practicing. They had their vision boards. They are already focused on what they need to do next year to not only win the tournament, but focus on, winning the regular season so that we can hopefully play at home the following year and getting into that tournament, getting a bye first round. And like their minds, the way they were thinking, I was so impressed. So impressed.
How cool was it to have the men's team also in Columbus with you guys? You cheering them cheering you. What was that experience like?
Yeah, that was really special. That was a first for sure at the NCAAs. There was a lot of Buffalo blue in a sea of red. So that was a really cool experience, for the men's team. They had such an incredible season. They did win the regular season. They really brought the energy, the expectation to do well, and have another team there that knows how good each of us are to really encourage and, hey, listen, this is an incredible facility, but there's a lot of us here and we got your back. So
it's such a rare occurrence to have the same school win the MAC championships on both the men's and the women's side. What's the interaction? How much do the two teams push each other, do you think?
Yeah, they're great. We don't see each other a ton, to be honest, during practice. Once spring comes in the fall, they're on one bank of courts and we're on the other, which is really cool. The men have such great energy and, they bring it every practice all the time. In the spring, we don't see each other as much, but it was nice that we did get to go to a handful of their matches, and they really had something special this year. So huge congratulations to Lee, Ethan, Tony, and their men's team, because they really did a stellar job this year.
One of the quotes that you had, I think, in the midst of the postseason was "no fear." Right? Does that sum up your season, your team, your personality, your drive? Do those two words sum up an awful lot of what your team was about?
You know what? It summed up the tournament. It didn't sum up their year, right? Like, there was a lot of fear. There was a lot of growth. This was not an easy, road to get to the championships. But like I said, the way that this team embraced, all the coaching, all on court, off court, mental, gym, like everything, the way that they worked through this season, it was no fear tennis by the time they got to the tournament, and that's when it matters.
All right, there's an old sports quote that says the best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores, right? Well, you got the best out of your freshmen, but now they are sophomores. So as you look forward to next year, what's the dynamic going to be different for a team for you as a coach now that you have this core of players that maybe exceeded expectations in their first year? What do you want to see them do and this team do coming off this championship?
Yeah, we're really fortunate that our number one S, we get her for one more year. We thought she was graduating, but she got a little bonus year.
Great.
So that's going to be amazing, having that leadership, someone at the top of the lineup that knew what it took, did what it took, and could kind of mentor and guide our freshmen along. And now that they're sophomore, the leadership that they've demonstrated, their work ethic, they know what it takes, and they are hungry for more. So I am so excited for next year.
What's the summer like for you as a tennis coach? How busy? How much? What's going to occupy your next couple of months?
Yeah, I get to see my kids a little bit more.
Good.
And my family. So, June is probably, I would say, a little bit more quiet, but the recruiting never ends, and then recruiting in July really picks up. August, all the players start to trickle back in, and then it's go time by mid-August by the time they're all back here. So.
When they all come back together, what do you expect them to be different, knowing that if they're not wearing their MAC championship rings, they know they're getting their MAC championship rings? To have a team coming off of the incredible success that you had last year, what does that mean going into the next year?
I think it can mean a lot of different things, but for this group, it means they're hungry, right? So I'm so excited for all the team coming back. We have a freshman coming in who is so excited, is bought into everything already. We have a transfer that's coming in who I actually recruited as a freshman, so I'm happy she finally found her home here in Buffalo, and they're both going to be incredible assets. That's going to build us even stronger.
All right, so maybe you won't surprise anybody next year? Is that maybe the plan?
Maybe we'll surprise them how good we actually
Okay,
are.
that couldn't be a better answer from head coach Kristen Maines. UB Women's Tennis coming up with their 4th UB MAC championship. Congratulations on a great year. Enjoy a little bit of downtime. We'll look forward to seeing you maybe do it again next year.
Thank you so much.
Kristen Maines joining us on the In the Bullseye podcast.